Have you ever thought about what really separates the clean crack of a pool break from the messy crunch of a car crash? I mean, they're both collisions, right? But in the world of physics, they're completely different animals. So today, we're going to break down the science of these bounces and crashes. We're talking elastic versus inelastic collisions.
Okay, so take a look at these two scenes. On one side, you've got that perfect pool break, so clean, so efficient, and on the other, a fender bender. Pretty much the opposite, right? Destructive, chaotic. But here's the thing. To a physicist, they're both just collisions. So what gives? What's the real difference? What separates that clean, perfect transfer of energy from all that crumpled metal? That's exactly the puzzle we're going to solve today.
But before we can really dig into what makes them different, we've got to get on the same page about the basics. So let's start right at the foundation. What exactly is a collision, anyway?
Well, it's actually simpler than you might think. A collision is basically just any event where a couple of objects come together and exert forces on each other for a really short amount of time. I mean, it could be a baseball hitting a bat, two tiny atoms bumping into each other, or, yep, you guessed it, a car crash.
All right, now this next part is super important. This is the golden rule, the one law that governs every single collision we're going to talk about. As long as we're talking about an isolated system, where we can ignore outside stuff like friction or air, momentum is always conserved. It's like a non-negotiable law of the universe, no matter how messy the collision gets. And hey, don't let the word momentum scare you. It's just a fancy term for mass and motion. Seriously, all it is an object's mass times its velocity. That means a huge truck moving really slowly can have the exact same momentum as a tiny baseball that's moving super fast. So when we say momentum is conserved, what does that actually mean? It just means that the total amount of momentum you have in the system before the crash is the exact same amount you have after the crash. Nothing just disappears. It just gets moved around, redistributed between the objects that collided. Okay, so we've got our golden rule down. Momentum is always conserved. With that in mind, let's dive into our first category, the perfect bounce. These are what physicists call elastic collisions. So what makes an elastic collision so special? Well, it has a second rule that it follows. We already know momentum is always conserved, right? But in a perfectly elastic collision, something else is conserved too, kinetic energy. And kinetic energy is just the energy of motion. In these perfect, ideal collisions, absolutely none of that energy gets wasted. The Newton's cradle is the textbook example of this. You've seen one, right? You lift one of those steel balls, let it go, and its kinetic energy just zips almost perfectly through the whole chain, sending the ball on the other end flying. You barely hear a click, there's no heat. That is a near-perfect elastic collision right there in front of you.
So if you could witness a truly perfect elastic collision, you'd see objects just bounce off each other. No damage, no dents, no change in shape. And the really important part, there'd be zero energy lost as heat or sound. All that kinetic energy just gets passed cleanly from one object to the next. The break in a game of pool is a really, really good approximation of this.
But let's be honest, perfect bounces like that are incredibly rare. Most of the time, especially out here in the real world, we're dealing with something else entirely. We're dealing with inelastic collisions.
And here is the absolute key difference. In an inelastic collision, our golden rule about momentum, it still holds true. Momentum is conserved. But kinetic energy, yeah, not so much. Some of that energy of motion gets lost during the collision. So where does that energy go? It doesn't just poof, disappear. Physics doesn't work that way. It gets transformed. Think about a car crash. It's incredibly loud, right? That's kinetic energy turning into sound energy. The metal bends and gets hot. That's energy turning into heat and doing the work of crumpling the car. You can think of this lost kinetic energy as the cost of the collision.
Now, let's take this to the most extreme case. This is what we call a perfectly inelastic collision. This is when the absolute maximum amount of kinetic energy is lost. And how do you spot one? It's easy. The two objects literally stick together after they hit, moving as one single mass. The classic example is two lumps of clay just smacking into each other and becoming one big lump.
And this brings us right back to where we started, the car crash. This is a powerful, real-world example of an inelastic collision. Momentum is still conserved. That's why one car can shove the other one forward. But it's obvious a ton of kinetic energy was not conserved. It was spent on all that damage, crumpling the metal, making that awful sound, and generating heat. All right, so we've met our two main types of collisions. Now it's time for the showdown. Let's put them side by side and make this whole thing crystal clear.
Okay, let's just walk through this chart together. First up, momentum. See? Conserved for both. That's our constant, our golden rule. Do the objects stick together? Well, no for elastic, and only sometimes for inelastic. But now, look at the big one, kinetic energy. Conserved in elastic, but not conserved in inelastic. If you remember one thing, remember this. This is the single biggest difference between them.
So it's pretty clear that this isn't just a simple black or white situation, right? I mean, some things are way bouncier than others, so that begs the question, how do physicists actually measure this? Is there a way to score how elastic a collision is? They absolutely do. They use something called the coefficient of restitution, or just E for short. Think of it like a bounciness score, on a simple scale from 0 to 1. A score of 1 is a perfect score. That's a perfectly elastic collision, like our ideal pool balls. A score of 0 is the lowest score. That's perfectly inelastic, like two pieces of clay smushing together. Most things in the real world are somewhere in between. A basketball, for instance, might have an E of about 0.8. It's super bouncy, but it still loses a little energy with every single dribble.
Okay, so we've got elastic, we've got inelastic, we've even got a way to score them. But why does any of this actually matter? What's the big takeaway here?
Here's what it all boils down to. First, momentum is the great survivor. In an isolated collision, it is always conserved. Always. But kinetic energy, it's a bit more fragile. It only gets through a collision completely untouched in those perfect, ideal, elastic collisions. In our messy real world, that kinetic energy gets converted into other things. The sound of the crash, the heat from the impact, the work of bending metal, and of course, in the most extreme inelastic collisions, the objects stick together and they lose the most kinetic energy possible.
And I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. Now that you know what to look for, you're going to see inelastic collisions happening literally everywhere. A ball bouncing, a door slamming shut, even just clapping your hands, all inelastic. Which really makes you stop and wonder, doesn't it? Why are those perfect, energy-lossless, elastic collisions so incredibly rare in our everyday world?